Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, wow. Okay. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, wait. Okay, testing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 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 1. One, two, one, two, 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing. Testing 1, 2. Number D. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. That's too much. All right. Too much. Too much. All right. This should be the USB out, USB, USB out. Oh, this should be the USB playback. Okay. All right. All right. All right.
We have 20. Yes, we will be recording. You'll get a lot of me here, apparently. My name is James Sword. I'm one of the board members here at the Haight-Ashbury Neighborhood Council. I have 2 children, 10 and 7. I also have been in the neighborhood since 1989, so it's where all the gray hair comes from. Actually, the 10 and 7-year-olds are where the gray hair comes from. My co-host this evening, Nate Harrell, feel free and introduce yourself. Bring you the microphone.
Hey everybody, I'm Nate. I have kids that are 5 and 7 at Grattan. Well, one of them is going to be a kindergartner starting there, so I have an interest in this topic.
Great. And so the idea this month, Haight-Ashbury Neighborhood Council, long history. This being a big election year, with November being a presidential election, we figured the first few months of the year were pretty political. The next few months of the year are going to be hyper political. So it might be nice to have a meeting that is a little more community-based, a little more with the idea of connecting to the folks in the neighborhood, young, old, who work here who don't welcome. I guess, are you Kate and Myra? Oh, welcome. Perfect timing. And so what we did this month is we decided, with the first round of the lottery for the schools just finishing up, and I think people just had to put in their request for the second round, and then they get to wait if they decide to stick around for the third round. That is right when the school year starts. It's all very stressful, which is, adding one more stress on top of being a parent of young children is always a fun thing. But we wanted to connect more to the schools around the neighborhood, and we invited the principals of the 4 elementary schools that are within our district. I'm on Ashbury, and on my side of the street, you have Groton. Across the street, McKinley is the district. The closest school to me outside of the Chinese immersion school, which is a lottery school, full lottery school, is New Traditions. And so those 4 schools represent the neighborhood. Many of the students, the kids who live in the neighborhood will go to one of those 4 schools. And so we wanted to invite the principals here and talk a little bit about their schools. And they're all hiding in the back, but I'm gonna actually have you come up to the front. I know it's been a long day. I know, you're always front and center. But we saved these nice chairs right here for you. And what I'll do is I'll do a quick introduction, and then we have a 4th principal who's called in. I think he's on a ferry boat. He lives in the East Bay, and this is his commute time. So they're literally putting extra hours into the day for us. So very much appreciate that. Right here we have Mia Yi from CIS, Chinese Immersion School, Myra Quadros from New Traditions, and please correct me and interrupt me if I don't pronounce your name right. Kate Walter from Groton, and John Collins from McKinley. So what we've asked them to do is provide a little background, kind of an elevator speech about their schools. Talk a little bit about, what their school's community feels like, what the PTA is about, what they see as the next couple of years, why you should put their school down if you're going to be entering the lottery, all of those things. But why don't we start with Principal Collins, if you can hear us. I know you're muted there. Great. And I'm going to hand it to you to provide your elevator speech, if you will. And thank you again for joining us, and very much appreciate the extra time.
Oh, yes. Hi, Mr. Collins here, principal of McKinley Elementary School. I would start off by saying, hey, colleagues there, I see you guys. It's good to see you. McKinley is a great school. We're there in the Castro neighborhood on Castro and 14th Street. We are, I guess San Francisco terms, medium, the small size school. Currently about 257 students. We currently have kindergarten to 5th grade. This coming school year, we are adding a TK class, which is totally full, and we're adding an autism moderate 3 to 5, which currently has 4 students, but I'm assuming that it will continue to grow as the summer goes along and into the coming school year. School, this is my 2nd year at McKinley. It's been a really good experience. Our PTA president is finishing her 3rd term, and she has been really great at bringing me along with understanding how the PTA works with schools. I've always worked at a Title I school, so I've never been in a school with a PTA. So it's been great with how they support our school with the arts, the sciences. We believe we have a STEM night coming up. They do not use STEAM because we already have the art covered. STEM is one of the things we are looking to improve upon this coming school year with the help of SFUSD and the science leads. Yeah, our students have a ton of play opportunities with our after school program. Our school also supports grade level soccer teams. So a couple of Saturdays throughout the school year, I'm able to go out to the marina. or out to Golden Gate Park and watch our students play soccer. They have a couple other fields throughout San Francisco where our soccer teams are able to play at. So we have a first grade team, second grade team, third grade team, and then 4 or 5 also has a team that's basically all parent and PTA led. And so that's a huge benefit for a lot of our students. I've been told we have the largest library of elementary schools in SFUSD. I cannot say that's true or not, but that's one of the things they brag upon. Our library is the center of our school. So you walk to the lower area, the library is front and center, and the school is kind of built like a pod. So as you walk around, you're able to view the library from the second floor and also from the first floor. So that's something that was new. Usually libraries are tucked in a small corner or the top floor of a building, but at McKinley, it's front and center. When it comes to our SSC has been quite amazing. Our SSC lead and our PTA have been partners for the last 3 years, going back to under the former principal. And they are both stepping aside. So this coming year, I'll have all new SSC um, parents and almost all new PTA parents, which will be different with learning new personalities at the same time that the district is changing a lot of other things. And so that's going to be one of the new challenges going into the year. McKinley has been great. We have probably one or so event a month for the whole community. We have a LGBTQ Pride Parade this coming Friday that our community is invited to. Our students, we do have a Pride Club at our school. It has about 30 students in it, and they do different events on a weekly basis with 2 of our teachers, well, technically 3 of our teachers, a third grade teacher, second grade teacher, and our art teacher. And so will be holding their signs and marching from the school down Castro Street. I think all the way to the M line on the BART station line. They go there to into the corner in the Castro, and then they circle back around and come back up to the school. So that's one of the events that we have this week, which the kids are excited to be a part of. And each grade level has a different colored theme to represent their classrooms and the pride um, flag as well. Let's see. Outside of that, I have an amazing clerk. Her students went to the school. In fact, Principal Myra's son went to the school as well. And so she can tell you all the great things about McKinley as well as she's leading her site. And my clerk student, 2 daughters went to McKinley. So she was a parent before she filled in part-time as the school did not have a clerk. And that 6 month stint has extended into about 10 years now. I think this will be her 10th year as a clerk of McKinley. So she has been super instrumental in the history of McKinley and helping me in my first and second year at McKinley. She's my when it says leadership team, she is my leadership team. When everyone else is busy in the building, huddling up with her and using her knowledge of the community and of the school to brainstorm different ways to help the school improve has been invaluable to me as I've been there at McKinley. So I personally love McKinley. Our SSC has helped us get more safety with SFMTA this past year. Unfortunately, we had a mom and son hit crossing the street. And so working with our SSC and working with SFMTA, we're able to get more safety measures put around the school because we do have I call them a slalom street, 14th Street, where cars come down that hill at a very high speed and come up the hill at a very high speed. And so we have a lot more uh, protective barriers and signs put in where students and families are safer coming and going from our school. We just finished our huge fundraiser a couple Saturdays ago, Dog Fest. I believe it's the third weekend in April at Du Bois Park. It was very well attended, and funds from Dog Fest goes to supporting the arts. Our teachers, our attendance clerk, and a number of other things at McKinley, helping to offset um, uh, the cost of that, where the district ends is where the PTA and the families begin when it comes to raising money to make sure that the students at McKinley have a well-rounded education with arts and music, instrumental music as well for 4 and 5. They also have drama as well for 4 and 5, and a lot of dance for our younger kids. So being at McKinley has been a huge blessing for me, starting off as a second-year principal with a lot of things already in place where um, I can spend a lot of time with the students and also learning SFUSD ins and outs.
Great. Thank you very much. That was an elevator speech and then some. So that was awesome. And I see we do have a hand. I'm going to hold questions unless it's like you're having trouble hearing because of microphones or something. I'm going to hold questions until after each principal kind of introduces their school and gives a little speech into it. So thank you. Who wants to go next? Principal Quadros? Principal Walter? All right. All right.
Not going to be anywhere near as wonderful as John. So I'm Kate Walter. I'm the principal at Grattan. I have been at Grattan for about 2 decades. I taught there for about 10 plus years. I moved over to West Portal. I was an assistant principal there for 2 years, and then I returned to Grattan, and I'm in my 8th or 9th year. So I have deep roots in the community. I'm deeply invested. We have a lot of similar programs to what John's spoke to, a lot of arts happening in our school, a really strong PTA that helps support and enhance the programming. Like John, we are not a Title I school, so if you're familiar with SFUSD and their tiered funding, we have more limited funding, and the parent organization does a lot of fundraising to help supplement. We have a very robust special education program at Grattan. It's something I'm super proud of that is at the heart of our school. We have 3 special day classes supporting students that need extensive support with autism. And so those students, their experience and their families is really the hub of our school, and a lot of what we do, we try to center their needs. It creates a really rich and inclusive experience for our students. My kids also go to Grattan, so I think that speaks a little bit to how I feel. I currently have a 2nd grader and a kindergartner at Grattan. We have a preschool through 5th grade program. So we have 2 general education preschool classrooms. We also have a special day classroom for our preschool, and then we're K through 5. English only. I know there's a lot of incredible bilingual programs here in SFUSD. We are not one of them. So I always try when folks come on tours to front load. We do not have a language pathway, English only. Trying to think other things that I took notes here that we're going to speak to. The community vibe. So I actually see a parent here from my school. The community, I think, as I was saying, our PTA is really strong. There's a lot of incredible work that we do. We have started a couple years ago trying to do affinity nights for families. So we try to connect families both in racial affinity. We also had an LGBTQ affinity night because we really believe that in order to feel connected and valued as part of our community, we also want to make sure people see themselves reflected. So that's been a lot of the work that we've been doing. Trying to think what else we wanted to speak to. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Myra Quadros. The kids call me Dr. Q. And I've been in SFUSD since 2001. I actually started at Mission High as a high school math teacher, and then eventually moved into principalship at Sutro, and went to central office, came back, and then I've been at New Traditions for the last 2 years. And I live in Cole Valley. I actually live right by the Walgreens. So Broughton's my neighbor. My son went to McKinley. I used to live by Buena Vista. So I'm in the hood, and I also am very deep rooted into the community also. During the pandemic, I ran this Page Street all the time. I was telling Kate. We're all very good friends, so we're all, we're not competing against each other. But New Traditions is pretty special. It's a small school on the other side of the Panhandle, right down from USF. It's an art-focused school, and so we not only have art enrichments, which are ceramics, dance, choral, visual arts, and instrumental music, but we also do art integration in our school day with our core content. We have 11 classrooms. It's 2 per grade level until we get to the 4th and 5th. They're all combo classes. So we're on the smaller side, similar to John and McKinley. And we also have a robust PTA. We have a robust school site council. All my people are staying, John. Just kidding. And we also have an anti-racist parent group that we work on, just making sure we're interrupting inequities that show up at our school. I'm going to leave it there for now. Thanks.
This is a hard act to follow here. Last. So my name is Mia Yi. I've been in district for a long time. I was an assistant principal at Alma Elementary School, and I was a teacher there. And now I'm currently the principal at CIS, Chinese Immersion at Diabla. It's my first year. What I can say about the parent community is wonderful. Very hospitable, we're welcoming, and we're a community. The parents are heavily involved in the school through a robust PTA. We do activities together. We have camping a night, families. We have a winter show that promotes the arts. We have a plethora of things to do. And the parents all connect with WhatsApp app, chat groups, WeChat, so we're interconnected. What I can say about CIS is that we're a dual language immersion program. That means our focus is Cantonese. So the children are biliterate when they leave us. So it starts out with about 80% in Cantonese, and they slowly progress until 50-50 when we get to the upper grades. We have 3 classrooms per grade from K to 5th, and that's with our class size reduction teachers. Usually in the 4th and 5th grades, our class sizes go up to 33 in the district, but with a robust fundraising for the PTA, we believe in smaller class sizes to promote the children's overall mental health, social well-being, and academic support. And what we do is that we incorporate our arts into our program too, into culture, culture, literacy, and also we have Nagata dance coming in, hip hop, performing arts as that, and also a lot of enrichment programs such as gardening for growing communities. We have sports activities, field day school-wide for our school. And what we can say about how wonderful our community is that we know that teachers have their children in our schools, and that means school is well supported by the teachers. And that means our school is something to come towards, to welcoming in that fact. What else can I say? Our SSC has been fabulous, and our PTA and who supports the programs that SFE cannot fund for us, because we're not a Title I school, we call it a base school, which means that we get the basic funding. Teacher, clerk, and myself. And so we're a school about 400 children, so we're one of the medium-sized schools, I would say. And I wouldn't know what to do without all the staff and the parent support I received the first year. And what I'm looking forward to is building more bridges in community with the school and the parents itself. And James is our parent, and he's been wonderful. He's a part of SSC. Okay, that's my plug.
No. Thank you. That was a great introduction. We'll come up with some questions. I see, Teresa, you've had your hand up for a bit. Do you want to unmute? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I have actually a couple questions. One for the Cantonese immersion. Is it a full immersion program?
Yes, it's a full immersion program. So this coming year we'll have TK. So we have homeroom teachers. So the homeroom teacher teaches in Cantonese first, and they switch off to another teacher who teaches English. So the children won't get confused. So in that classroom environment is one language at a time.
Okay. And then the other question I have actually for all the principals is which schools have a program that starts at 4 years old, a TK program, and what is the class size and the teacher student or teacher para student ratio?
So currently it's 22 per class with 1 teacher and 1 paraeducator.
And sorry, real quick, to clarify, that's for TK at CIS, and next year is the first year you have TK.
I'll clarify that across the district, kinder through third grade for all of us is 22 to 1. And once they're in fourth grade, it goes up to 33. My school does 30, but it's 33 to 1. And then we do not have a TK at New Traditions yet.
So we also do not have a TK, we have pre-K. So we start at 3 years old, or depending on the birth year, could be 2 years, 9 months, so we start real young. That ratio in the pre-K is 1 teacher to 24 students and 2 paraeducators. And then same thing, K through third, 22. We also pay for a class size reduction teacher. So our fourth and fifth grade classrooms are about 25 students. And I don't think I mentioned, Grattan has about 440 students.
McKinley, our TK class will be starting next year. So we are full at 22. We just hired our TK teacher this week, actually. So I'm super happy about that. So currently we're just looking for a para.
Thank you.
Great. So not a loaded question at all. No. If somebody is in the school lottery now, right? Maybe they've got their first choice and they've decided we're done. Maybe they're unsure. What is some advice? Some of you have kids in the district. What is your advice to parents who this is their first time in the lottery? There's a lot out there. It's stressful. And what would you say to them?
My first word of advice would be to take a deep breath and to wait. So it's really anxiety provoking, but those wait lists often clear. And so if you're a family that can kind of logistically and just emotionally kind of ride that wave of waiting for that second and third and even fourth round right before school starts or even after school starts, you're most likely going to get the choice that you want or something high up there. And also what I've heard a lot of times is folks end up in a school that they think they don't want. And like a week into school, they've gotten a spot at Grattan and we call and they say, you know what, we're loving it where we are. And so I think there's, you can read a lot of things out there and there are certain schools that have quote unquote reputations. And I think that once you get connected, there's a lot of incredible schools in San Francisco. And so I would say wherever you are, give it a chance.
I'm totally going to echo what Kate said, that when I say this on my tours often is that there's 70 elementary schools in SFUSD and they're all excellent and we all have issues in our own ways. And so do what's best for your life. So if you're a person who has to work outside your home, then make a line, do a few block radius, and then just choose those schools that make sense for your family. You have to take away the noise of other people and the insanity of the process because it doesn't make any sense and you have to do what's best for your life. So just choose the schools, tour those schools, see what feels good for you and your kid, and then apply there.
I think parents are their first teachers, and you know what's best for your children in terms of what they need and your family needs. I would wait, because I was a parent too, I was in the lottery process. I had to wait till round 2 or 3 myself. So we just had to wait until we find a right spot. It wasn't my top choice, but when I got to school, I really liked it. And why would I even choose another school? So I would just say, take a deep breath, enjoy the ride.
Principal Collins?
I can't really add too much more. SFUSD is a district with a lot of choices. I came from a district before SFUSD where you just went to your traditional neighborhood school. So it took a lot to learn about the rounds at SFUSD and the choices. And we had, I think, about maybe 15 or so tours this past year at McKinley, and our tour group did a really good job bringing families in, showing them our kindergarten classrooms, first grade classrooms, and just different things about the school. But yeah, I agree with all the other principals. Like it's people think they want something, and then when they experience something different, they're like, "Oh wow, this school's really good." So I tell people as long as you are able to connect with the school that you're at, that's the school that you're supposed to be at.
Great. Principal Yi, will you talk a little bit about the immersion side of the lottery? Because I know if you're in a specific district, you might get a little bit of a bump, but the immersion is different, correct?
So the immersion program, we look at the students' language proficiency. So it's 1/3 native speaker, 1/3 bilingual speaker, 1/3 non-native speaker. So the reason for that is that we can have role modeling in both languages. And the bilingual third is to help support both sides in terms of language capacity.
So if somebody's interested in an immersion school, it's just a complete lottery across the city,
It's
right?
a lottery across the city and also looking at language proficiency too. So looking at the numbers. So in our school, each class will have 1/3 English speaking, 1/3 bilingual speaking, and 1/3 native speaking.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any questions in here yet? I know we have a couple online. We'll have time for more questions if you haven't come up with them. All right. Let's see. Karen, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I have a couple of things, kind of on the light side. When I was pretty little, I must have been like 7 or 8, and my mother was moving back into being a working woman. She told me that she was going to be a teacher and that I might be in her class, and I was very excited. So my first question is, for the principal whose children are in her school, what is that like for the children to have that experience? And then my second question is, my daughter started off at New Traditions, and when she was going into the 3rd grade, I believe, we switched them over to San Francisco Community School, which was a parent participation school and had been started up by parents and was really wonderful. And my question is about off-campus teaching. Community school at that point, and that was a long time ago. I'm sure things have changed quite a bit, but they did a lot of field trips to teach kids about various things by getting them off campus and having experiences. And I'm wondering, how does that show up in your programs, if it does?
Sure. In terms of having kids at my school, I wish they were here to answer that themselves. Like I had mentioned, I've been part of the community for close to 20 years, and so it was like a no-brainer. I feel like Grattan grew me, and it was just an obvious choice that they're going to grow my kids. I feel like we're home when we're at school. I feel like my kids are enveloped in a hug every time they walk into the building. I think, if I was a middle school teacher, I would probably have very different feelings about bringing my kid to school. But as my 2nd grader once said, he told me on the way to school, "Mom, I never would want to be famous." And I said, "I agree, I would never want to be famous." And he said, "But I'm kind of okay with being school famous." Because I had him, he was like the little guy in the back there when I would go to work. My first year as principal, I had a 3-month-old when I started, so he is part of the school. In terms of field trips in the community, at my site, it depends a little bit on your teacher. Some are more comfortable. Some of my teachers are out on field trips every week or every other week. In the younger grades, it's less often. But definitely, I feel like all of us are in the heart of San Francisco. It is so easy to hop on a bus, hop on Muni, and get pretty much anywhere in the city pretty quickly. So I feel like our students have the advantage of having easy access. And the San Francisco does an amazing job. The museums, all sorts of parks, botanical gardens, everyone offering free field trips. So the kids really, I feel like the city is their classroom sometimes.
I don't need to say much more because I think we're all in the same boat around field trips. My PTA offers the teachers an extra $1,000 per classroom. So if it does cost us, because we're also not a Title I school, that if it costs to pay for the bus, then our PTA will pay for it. I'll also add that I think most of us do walking field trips. So you just it's a year-long form that all of our classrooms have, so the kids can go to Panhandle or Golden Gate Park and they can just walk there. Like if it's a beautiful day like today, they're like, bye. And I'm like, see ya. And they go do, lesson outside.
So our field trips are by grade level. So each grade level has a certain set of field trips they go to. And our PTA is very robust. Each grade level has a stipend. They want to go off and do things. So, and everything's related to the curriculum. And I think outside San Francisco, in San Francisco, is their classroom itself. They experience things. So our kindergarten just recently went to a random museum because they were saying about animals. And they had a blast. Walked up the hill, down the hill, and came back. Tired as a bug, but they were so excited. So I think all of us agree that field trips are an essential part of our curriculum.
Yes, the Random Museum is up the street from McKinley. All of our classes walk to and from there. There's also a park at the top of the hill that they visit for part of the field trips. I think most of the field trips at McKinley are free and walking. Our autistic classroom, K through second, went on their first field trip where they got on the Muni N line. Then they got on to the BART train, and then they made their way to the Science Museum. And they actually liked the train ride better because they felt like it was a roller coaster for them. So a lot of the parents are now scheduling to take their students to ride BART and Muni more often because the kids, I think, enjoyed riding the train more than they did going to the museum. So yeah, we do our best to get our kids out into the community. I tell people San Francisco is basically a field trip within itself. There's always something on every corner that kids can experience that can teach them something just about life and about I mean there's different animals and attractions at every park. So yeah, I think the students in San Francisco have a leg up on students in other parts of the country just because there's so much culture in San Francisco. And a lot of the places will allow schools that have money and don't have money to come there either for free or to pay a small fee. And I think that's is one of the real benefits of going to school in San Francisco for our students.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
Hey, so I think what we're here to talk about partly is to foster connections between neighborhood, community, and the schools in the neighborhood. And I think something without only mildly political, to get only mildly political here is, something that we might have a common interest in is getting kids to school safely, and like, I wonder if I certainly have an interest in getting my kids to Grattan safely every day, and usually do so by bike, sometimes take the bus, sometimes walk. But just wondering if you had things that we have common interests in that an organized community could support you in. Like, I have random pet ideas that I can throw out, but I wonder if you have any like specifics, or in general, I think there should be a stop sign on Cole right in front of Grattan. I think there should. I wonder if you have opinions about the Panhandle, since you use it as a backyard. Anyways, but specific or general thoughts on that subject, much appreciated.
I'm going to chime about my school. We've been trying to have our signs changed because our street cleaners come right during our intake. So we have it's been horrible. Yeah, it's very, very hairy for the parents. So our signage is from right around 8 o'clock, and so that's where the parents come in. So we have the street cleaners coming, and the parents are trying to drive in and drop off their children. So that's the safety thing. So we're working on that all year.
She's looking at me because I may have committed myself to help via the Haight-Ashbury Neighborhood Council, reaching out to the local supervisor to work with them on that.
Yeah, that's a very hazardous thing. Also extending our white zone because the neighbors, we tend to double park and we can't access, the children cannot be picked up during an after-school program too, so extending the time. So it's just safety all around.
I'll just add two things that when I first got to New Traditions, I contacted SFMTA and had them do an assessment of the school because we are near Stanyon, where, Stanyon and Hayes. And a lot of our kids come from that direction because they come from Inner Richmond. And, that even though it's a stoplight, people just through that. Yeah, and so I was asking for a crossing guard, and so I still am. But they did an assessment, and so that was really helpful because one of the things is our neighbors get like upset about how we drop off and pick up, and I was able to say we did an assessment, and because we have the 21 bus line on Hayes, we can't do drop off in the back of the school. We have to do it in the front of school. You know, so it was a good way for me to have some like understanding of like the traffic patterns. So that's one thing you can do. And the other is my student council. We're a late start school, and so we end at 3:45. So our soccer practices and things are now at 4 o'clock. Also our after school programs, and so we use the Panhandle, and there's no lights. So they've been, they got invited to go to Supervisor Preston's office to work with one of their other nonprofits who's working on the Panhandle and doing the same thing. So it's been really awesome for our students to have a voice in like trying to get lights in the Panhandle after dark. So if you want to help with that, that'd be cool too.
Great. Yeah.
I love that. There should be lights there. You named it. I need that stop sign on Grattan and Colt. The reason is because the bus, I've been through this for years. It's the what is it, the 6 bus going down there? It can't supposedly have a stop sign at every block. So I said, well, why can't we get rid of the stop sign at the next block and move it? But there's a stop sign at Parnassus. So they said it can't be a stop sign then the next block. Yeah. But I would love any support because that is the major crossing point. It's a little harried. Yeah, or maybe a crossing guard would work too. Yeah, that would be helpful.
And we're not taking this down note-wise, but we are recording, and we will follow up with an email asking you to send us these suggestions. Principal Collins, I'm sure, having driven past your school, I have no doubt you have some comments on this.
Yeah, we've worked with SFMTA. We were trying to work with them from the beginning of this year. And they were like, well, you know, we already did an assessment a while ago. But they came back, unfortunately, after the family was hit in a crosswalk on Divisadero and 14th Street. And so they did another assessment, and they put some bumpers in the middle. They took out a couple of parking spots to put those little flappers in so that cars are going up and down the Visadero wouldn't have to speed or run into each other because it's a very tight fit on the Visadero right there at the corner. And so now cars have a better view looking up and down 14th Street before they do look to cross. We do have 2 great crossing guards. One's at 14th and Castro, and one's at the Visadero and 14th Street, and they are there in the mornings and also in the afternoons, helping people cross the street and slowing down cars coming down 14th Street from the hills. And so yeah, we've worked with SFMTA. One of the things we're trying to change is the signs in front of our school. I mean, within I would say a 50 to 100-yard area, there are signs that read different parking restrictions. And so there is no one parking restriction on, there's literally 2 of them. So depending on which sign you park in front of, it's a different rule. And so we've been trying to work with SFMTA. We haven't really gotten too far with them yet for the signs removals or just putting one particular, I guess, requirement to park in front of the school. And so we're still doing our best to push them on getting rid of the 2 different parking requirements in front of our school because it can be confusing for our neighbors and also for our school. We do have 2 special ed buses that drop off kids in the morning and the afternoons. And then next year with the students that will be coming into our school for a 3-5, we're not really sure how many more buses will be coming. And on top of that, we do have like a stop, drop, and roll where our parents volunteer in the mornings to help open the car doors for the families that are dropping their kids off by driving to get the kids in and out of the cars as fast as possible so that the line can keep moving and students can start their day at school. Because we are an early start school, so students begin coming on our yards at 7:35 a.m. in the morning.
Great. Thank you. That's a great segue, I guess. Start times, right? San Francisco Unified starts at 7:45, 8:45, 9:40, 7:50. So will you speak a little bit to the hours of your schools, also mention Wednesdays because that still throws me off. And also maybe what bus lines service your school.
So we are an early start school. We start at 7:50. The gates open at 7:30 for drop off and breakfast. We dismiss at 2:05 Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday, we get out at 12:50. We have an after school program that runs till 6 o'clock and it just opens whenever school's out. So if it's at 12:50 day, then after school starts at 12:50, runs through 6 until 6 p.m. And we have the 43, the 21, the N Judah, the 6, not the 21, sorry, the 6. What else am I'm missing a couple. 37, thank you. Yeah.
Nobody remembers the 37.
I know, but it's the
okay.
best bus.
It's
It
so
is the
cute.
best bus.
But
I
if you
love that
get
bus.
on the wrong side,
Yeah,
you're like
I know,
45 minutes. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. John?
John?
For us, I know there's a 24. The meeting we had today, that's the use of the bus I take to get to our Thursday meetings. It goes in front of our school all the way down to Halvard. I also catch the N and the M line in Muni when I do commute to school. This week was the first time I've actually had to drive to the city in like 2 or 3 weeks. So BART and the M or the N trains are how I usually get to McKinley. And then if I'm going anywhere else in the city, I usually just Google it. And usually it's either 24. There's one other bus that goes up and down 14th Street. I have never caught that bus. So I really don't pay too much attention to it. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Start time for
He's 7:50.
Groton.
Oh, yeah, we are 7:50. The gates open at 7:35 for the kids to come into the yard. And we do like intake, so parents stand around every day waiting for me to say something. It's really taxing. But usually I focus on whatever the cultural month is. So it's Asian American, Pacific Islander, and Hawaiian month. And so I've been focusing on the different cultural aspects of these particular cultures inside of San Francisco. So that's usually my focus in the mornings for intake. And then kids are all in their classroom before 8 o'clock. So I only talk for like 2 or 3 minutes and they swoop the kids off, and by 8 o'clock, they're already in their community circles in the morning.
We are a late start school. We start at 9:30. Our day ends at 3:45, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesday, we end at 2:30. Our after-school program goes till 6:30. And our bus lines are 21. The Fulton bus, I think it's 5, whatever the Stanton bus line is.
33.
33. And a lot of our families walk.
Thank you. So we're a citywide school, so we get families from all over the city. But our bus lines are 33 and 7. Am I right?
33, 7, 43, 6.
Okay.
71 doesn't exist anymore,
71
right?
doesn't. I think it's a 7.
Okay.
Replaced it.
7,
Yeah. So we're at 8:40 start, and we end at 2:55 on Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Wednesdays early release. That means we end at 1:40. We have morning care that starts at 7 o'clock, which I'm there. We have families coming into our school at 7 o'clock, and our afternoon care begins immediately after school and ends at 6. The children receive supper too as well, and breakfast and snacks. So families can come on the Haight side entrance in terms of the morning intake, or they come on Waller Street. But we all dismiss from Waller Street.
Great.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot to say
Wait.
we end at 2:05, and on Wednesdays we end at 12:50. So I'm usually sitting there with like 4 or 5 families on Wednesdays. For the families that do forget, it's 12:50 on Wednesdays.
We're throwing a lot of times out there, but it's the same length of day. It really depends on when it starts. So 7:45, 8:40, or 9:35, 9:30. And before care program. Are there any questions in here? Yep, hold on. Bring the microphone. You, and then you.
Yeah, thanks for coming and yeah, sharing about your schools. I was just wondering, what middle schools do your students typically go to, or if there is like a pattern or anything? Yep.
CIS and myself feed into Roosevelt. John, where do you feed into?
We
Oh,
feed into
Everett. Have I said what Everett? Duh.
And Grattan feeds into APG and any.
And will you say the location of those middle schools?
So AP Giannini is way out in the sunset. It is 38th and Ortega, way out there by the beach. Everett is in the Mission. It is, what is Church and 16th, something around there. And then Roosevelt is in the Richmond. It's at Arguello and Geary.
Hi, thank you so much. My name's Sally. I now have two questions. First is what does it really mean to be a feeder school into the middle school? What does that entail? And then the second is, what do you all do at aftercare for that many hours?
What does it mean to feed? It means that your child is not guaranteed a spot, but you have a very, 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 very high likelihood of getting a seat at that school. So in the 10 years I've been principal, there's never been an instance where a child didn't get a spot at AP Giannini on the first round that wanted one, but they don't guarantee it.
So say that's not true for Roosevelt. Roosevelt's a smaller school. And so I think that's true for all of us because we actually did a spreadsheet. But I have 45 fifth graders and 5 did not get into Roosevelt. And I think I was the most. Yeah, and most of us at Peabody had 3, you had 4. So all of us feeders had a small handful who did not get in to the feeders.
What do we do in after school? So I can't speak to other after school programs. Ours is 1/3 enrichment, 1/3 recreation, and 1/3 academics. So they spend different amounts of time doing different things. There's a lot of free play because we know at the end of a long school day, kids just need to be out and free play, but there's a lot of crafts and activities for them to do. It's also homework club. We do after school tutoring. So it's really kind of balanced in those 3 categories.
We partner with the Buchanan YMCA, and so they too do academics. They hire folks to come in to do enrichments. They have art. They have playtime. They're all pretty similar. It's not heavy academics, but they do have time for kids to get help with their homework.
We're also with Buchanan YMCA, but they also have clubs too. We have clubs. So YMCA have clubs, so the children can choose an activity they want to do on Fridays. That's a plus.
Yeah, at our school, we have ASAP, after school enrichment program. They're at McKinley and Daniel Webster. Only those particular schools in San Francisco. They offer clubs as well. Some students come 1 or 2 days a week just for clubs, and there's also general after school program where students are there 5 days a week. If families can't afford it, they are put on scholarship so that students are able to attend. If students are on scholarship, they need to be there at least past 4 o'clock on a daily basis. Let's see, they do a lot of outside time. Like at the end of the day, they just need to let some steam off. Our 3rd grade, oh, I take that back, our 4th and 5th grade classes go down to the Boys Park, to the rec center after school, and then our students between kindergarten and 3rd grade stay on campus.
One more thing. So half our school population is enrolled in the after-school program. Our site's about 200 children. And we also have grants, so ELOP grant for students who need scholarships. And so they're tuition free as well.
Also add nutrition in addition to Buchanan Y, we have an enrichment after school program. So we have an hour from 4 to 5 where parents can pay for an enrichment, and it rotates every quarter.
And I should have added, we do not have a partner. We run our own after school program at Grattan.
I will do a quick plug for the Buchanan Y. having a child in their after school. During the summer, they also are New Traditions and have a summer-long program. So if you're trying to find a week to fill in between the random 3 weeks here or whatever of summer camp, the Buchanan Y is a great resource for you. Teresa, you have your hand up.
I wanted to ask about exposure to a second language, either after school or during the school day. In obviously the immersion school has plenty of language, but the other three, what are the options?
John, do you want to start?
We have Mandarin as an option of a language after school program. And we also have Spanish.
So we do not have any language at Grattan currently. It ebbs and flows, but for the last couple of years, we haven't had anything.
We have Spanish in our enrichment program after school.
We know yours.
Our languages throughout the day, 6 hours.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do we have more questions in here or online? I'm always can come up with questions myself, but okay. As an alumnus of San Francisco Unified, I actually went to school with Chris Agnos back in the day, and back when most supervisors elected sent their kids to public schools. I think Preston does as well. And went to Grattan. So kudos to those of you who are sending your kids to the public schools. You know, as a community, one thing we've working on, we've been coming up with different ideas. Oh, real quickly, Principal Quadros, I know you have a hard stop at 8. Why don't I give you a few minutes to finish up, say what you want, cover. I know you were taking some notes, so I want to be respectful of your time.
I don't have any final thoughts. I'm free to answer questions, but you know, while NT's on the other side of the panhandle, it's definitely we're all together. I'll just add, I think Kate and I were talking, and all of our schools are full, and so we're not like you request your school, and you know you should request all 4 of us, because if you don't get into Groton, maybe you'll get into McKinley, or maybe you'll get into my school. But we're all awesome, and we're all full. So, you know, people are like, I want NT. I'm like, you might not get a spot. We have 44, you know, kindergarten spots. That's it. Like, John has 44 kindergarten spots. That's it. So, you know, good luck in the process, because, you know, it's competitive, but it's if you just stay on it, you'll get it. But, you know, my school is very art focused. So if your kid's creative, imaginative, that's what we do. We're very good at it.
Great. Well, thank you. Very much appreciate your time. Like Miss Yee mentioned, I think most of you are on hour 14 of your day, so know how much time it is.
I just want to add, I have field day tomorrow, so that's why I'm leaving early, is because I have a very long day tomorrow.
Because 14
thanks.
hours isn't enough, or 13 hours.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So one thing that the Haight-Ashbury Neighborhood Council has been working on, you know, we've discussed it over the last couple of months, and we're kind of rolling it out. Tonight is the first night we're talking about it. We'll get it rolling over the summer and into the fall, and we'll reach out to the principals more so and see how we can work with you and ideas that you might have, because I know you have a lot of experience on lots of different things. But as a parent of Chinese immersion school and getting to know many of the parents, many of whom don't live in the neighborhood. I've been in the neighborhood for 30 plus years now. And so I'm very familiar with it. But for someone who's not necessarily comfortable to the neighborhood, it can be a little abrupt sometimes. It can be intimidating. And so we had this idea where we would work with the merchants in the Upper Haight, and happy to expand it, but work with the merchants and have businesses put things in their windows that would be recognizable to youth, whether they go to school in the neighborhood, whether they work in the neighborhood, whether they live in the neighborhood. And if they're walking down the street with their friends, by themselves, whomever, if they feel that they are uncomfortable, feeling danger, uncomfortable, doesn't matter what it is, they will be able to recognize the symbol in the window and know that they can go into this business, and the staff there, you know, if they see a 7-year-old walking in on their own, they're going to know, like, hey, how can I help this child? What do they need? Maybe it's just a phone call. They lost their phone, or who knows. But that's a program that we're going to be working on over the summer. We haven't really come up with a good name yet or design of the window, but we have a couple of businesses that have already committed, and we're going to be meeting with the Haight-Ashbury Merchant Association. So that's something that we're looking forward to. But kind of along what Nate mentioned earlier, in what can we do for you as a community, are there other, you know, experiences you've had over the years, or, you know, in addition to getting MTA to hopefully change the street sweeper and reactivate the 21 and, you know, things like that? What are some things that you've seen over the years, maybe not in this neighborhood? You know, if you're a new principal, I think Mr. Collins and Miss Yee, between you have 3 years as principals in the neighborhood. Obviously, Miss Walter, you have more. But yeah, so lay it out there. What can we do for you?
I'm just thinking about enrollment in the lottery. And we know SFUSD has had a plummeting enrollment of students, which then impacts the budget. And so any way that you as a community can promote public schools, and as it becomes time for kids to do enrollment, I was just thinking, like, having the panel here maybe before the applications are due, to encourage families, if they're thinking about public school or not, or have specific questions about schools, making us available at an event like this, or potentially inviting the parents for public schools in to help people fill out applications, because that can be daunting as well. But I think just promoting public schools in general would be the biggest boost. We need more students in our district.
And shout out to PPSF, who I think didn't get a lot of funding this year. And so if you have a little extra money and you want to donate to a non-political cause that does a lot of great things for parents throughout the city, Parents for Public Schools SF is a great resource.
I think also, as a parent of a child in public schools, I think the most important thing is for parents to also talk about the benefits of public school, and also what public school provide versus private school, because I feel that there's a stigma in public school that we're not providing enough, or that is lacking in some sort of form, and that there's competition among schools, but we all are doing our very best, and we provide the best education as possible with the funding we receive and our parents' support as well.
Yeah, I agree with both statements. And I think in general, when it comes to public school, whether we accept everyone, special ed students, students with, I mean, any particular students who fall within the particular grade range, we are willing to work with. And when it comes to resources, I think the district has done a great job with providing us with great resources when it comes to the art enrichment. The district provides us with a great art teacher. I think all schools have great art teachers. I've never been in a school between Tenderloin, John Muir, and now McKinley, where we didn't have great art teachers or music teachers. And so I think the SFUSD does a really good job in hiring and finding talent when it comes to the arts, when it comes to PE, and just the diversity of games and activities that the students have access to. I believe SFUSD does a really good job of that. And it's up to us and the community and our families and students just to share I guess you would say, the experiences that they have at each of our schools. And I think if more families that do have kids in San Francisco see that they can get the same quality education at all of the elementary schools and middle schools and high schools, then I think more families in the city will probably send their kids there.
Well said. I think I see a comment.
I'm on the board of the Haight-Ashbury Neighborhood Council, and I couldn't agree with the panel more, that it's critically important to promote public schools. San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken, has the highest percentage of its kids in private schools of any major American city. And what we need from you is help in devising how we communicate the preference of a preference for public schools. That when you're at that critical time in your life, and your child, your baby is now going to leave your home, how do we persuade that population that public schools is a viable and quite possibly, I'm not in a union, I'm not a teacher, I'm not the son of a teacher. I am, however, the subject of public education. I mean, I went to public education my entire life. My children have, and my grandchildren are. So I'm invested in public education. And what we need from you is help on refining our ability. We have limited resources, but we have some resources. We do a monthly newsletter. We have a website. We can tell stories, or however it is that if you could give us a 15-minute of your time email on that idea, it would greatly help us. And let me close. I'm noted for giving long speeches. Let me close with deep in my heart thanks to public education. Last week's testimony before the House on anti-Semitism in public schools. We saw what, in my view, was the sorry performance of elite university presidents a month ago. What we saw last week were spunky, well-informed, articulate defenders of public education. And anybody who needs any kind of real argument in their own mind, look that up. Look up that testimony of the 4 quote-unquote big city liberal school districts and their testimony. So on behalf of that, a great civic contribution, a great contribution to public intercourse. I want to thank you, because that's one of the things that public schools do. That's one of the things that you have to do. You have to talk to real people and their kids and deal with them on a real-time basis. Private schools don't. They get to pick and choose. They get to ignore if they want. You guys are there, and that's an important story. And I want to thank you, and help us tell that story better.
Thank you. I think something you said resonated with me about the importance of storytelling. I think that's the most transformative way to convince and change hearts and minds. So I think if you have a newsletter or website spotlighting those personal stories of what's happening in public schools really can change people's minds.
So we had a child who just left Grattan last year, graduated from there, had a fantastic time, recommend it 100%. You know, I'm with a group called, or I was, with a group called SF Guardians that was looking at how to get enrollment up in our schools, and we talked to a ton of parents. A lot of it is concerned about the lottery. There's not so much, it's the uncertainty that kills them. And we were looking into whether we needed to fix this, and then we run across this statistic. If you want your neighborhood school, by the end of the lottery process, 94% of people who wanted their neighborhood school got it. And I think if parents knew that, it would give them more certainty, and they would feel a lot more comfortable entering the lottery process and going all the way through so it would get enrollment up. The other places we lost people were in 8th grade, in junior high school, because people wanted their kids to have 8th grade algebra. That's in the works now, which is fantastic. And in high school, people want to make sure their kids had access to AP classes, and I would love to see that expanded as well. I know that's not like, that's not your wheelhouse, But we were so impressed with the elementary school experience here, and our kids at APG and ED now, and just really enjoying that as well. So I am super impressed with public schools, and whatever we can do to support you, I'm behind you 100%.
If parents can say that on a newsletter and have a public testimony, that's the most impactful. To be honest, parents relating to parents. And that's the best publicity we can ever have. Either myself or Kate talking about, or John. It's, spreading through the word of mouth.
And Kate has to go, and I know John's already home, and Mia's on hour 14. So I want to thank all of you. If you have a last word, feel free. You have my contact and Nate's contact, and we will definitely be in touch and follow up on this. And we would be happy to host a pre-lottery discussion. I mean, even outside of our monthly regular meeting, which, like I said, will probably get quite political between now and November. But we can always have a side meeting talking about schools. And the whole goal of getting you all out here was to hear about your schools, but also to start a new, direction with the local schools and the community. So, thank you.
Yeah, one other thing I would say is there's the Du Bois Triangle in our area. They put out a monthly newspaper. And so they do every month, they highlight one of our families or students at our school inside of their paper as far as what they're doing in the community. So that does probably reach a broader audience than those who go to our school and in our community. So they're also doing their best to uplift public school in our area as well.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Have a lovely evening. Yeah, please. All right. So thank you, everybody online as well as in person. And I know we usually do announcements at the beginning of the meetings, but I know that the guests of honor all had really long days, and we're at the end of it, and it was really nice of them to cut out an extra hour of their day for us. But do we have any orders of business or announcements? Anybody online or in person? This is the first time everybody in the Haight-Ashbury Neighborhood Council has sat quietly. No. What's that? We're all exhausted. So, all right. Well, happy to hang out and be visible on the projector. But, as I mentioned earlier, we will be rolling out the business idea, working with youth in the neighborhood, and we'll be throwing that out there. We want it really community-based for now, working with the merchants and the neighborhood council and designing it. And then as time rolls out, might need to tweak things, but you'll hear more. You'll see articles in The Voice, and you'll see stickers in windows of businesses. So thank you.